us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. You are all welcome to today's sitting. Let us go through the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 21st July 2020. Page 192. Page 193. Page 194. I have examined the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 21st July 2020, and approval is here granted. Any message from the governor?
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, there is no message from Mr. Governor.
Any other announcements?
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. We have a correspondence from the Office of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, and it is titled Proposal for a Law to Amend the Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice, Repeal and Reenactment, Law 2011. With your kind permission, sir, I'll read. The above subject refers, please. The Lagos State Executive Council, at its meeting of 29th June 2020, considered the proposal for a law to amend the Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice Law 2011, and resolved to present the attached bill to the State House of Assembly for further legislative process. The bill seeks to, amongst others, provision for changes to some of the procedures in the administration of criminal justice in Lagos State in order to promote an orderly society and foster collective obligations and duty towards the preservation and protection of lives and properties, including public properties. In line with the resolution of the State Executive Council, please find enclosed 60 copies of the Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice Amendment Bill 2020 for consideration of the House. Please accept the assurances of our warmest regards. Signed, Mr. Muyoshore Jubri Bonigbanjo, SCN, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. That's all, sir.
Petitions?
None, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Matter of urgent public importance? None. Personal explanations? None. Reports? None. Business of the day?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, this morning we have listed on the order paper House of Assembly Bill number 10 for first reading. With kind permission, may I move that Lagos State Public Procurement Agency Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the first time. I so move.
Honorable Lion, who? Desmond. Okay, Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, with your kind permission, I wish to read for the first time Lagos State Public Procurement Agency Amendment Bill 2020. Thank you, sir.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, next of the items on the other paper is House of Assembly Bill number 11. For first reading. May I therefore move that Unlawful Society and Cultism Prohibition Bill 2020 be read for the first time.
Honorable Nurena.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, distinguished honorable members, it is my honor to read for the first time Unlawful Societies and Cultism Prohibition Bill 2020. Thank you, sir.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the report of the Committee on Health Service, adjourned for second allotted day, is now ready, and to take the report, which is to be presented by Honorable Shokunle, Chairman House Committee on Health. I hereby move that the House dissolve to Committee of the Whole. I so move.
Honorable Kasum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Shokunle.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Fellow colleagues, this is the second allotted day for this report. May I humbly request that I move to page 7. Stakeholder meeting of the Cardiac and Renal Center with members of the Committee on Health Services, second phase. Number 7, preambles. You will recall that the Committee on Health Service presented its report on the Cardiac and Renal Center, lawsuit Annex, Gbagada, Lagos, on Tuesday, 10th March 2020, while same was deliberated upon by members, after which the Right Honorable Speaker directed the committee to further extend its investigation on the matter to enable the committee to identify those elements culpable in the construction and installation of the center. The committee therefore swung into action by inviting the following stakeholders to a meeting with the committee on Friday, 13th March 2020. Attendance: the Commissioner, Ministry of Health, Professor Abayomi, Engineer Ms. Adeyeye Aramide, SSA, Ministry of Works, Engineer Olujin Otono, PS, Ministry of Works, Mr. Adebayo Shodade, Special Advisor, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, Dr. Olusegun Ogboye, PS, Ministry of Health, Dr. Abiodun Muritala, PS, Accountant General, State Treasury Office, Dr. Oduwole A.O., Director of Project, Ministry of Health, Dr. Kaka A.A., Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Gbagada General Hospital, Dr. Bode Falashe, Consultant, Lagos State Teaching Hospital, Architect Odusoya, and Engineer Asani, Acting Director, Architectural Service, Ministry of Works Infrastructure. Honorable Shokunle H.O. Oshodi Solobon, Chairman, Committee on Health Services, informed the meeting that the essence of re-inviting them once again was as a result of the directive by the House at ensuring that the committee is able to identify those unscrupulous elements behind the non-functionality of the multi-billion naira cardiac and renal center, Gbagada, in its investigation. 8. Submissions. 8.1. Professor Aki Abayomi, Commissioner, Ministry of Health, informed the meeting that he came on board as the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State less than a year ago, but despite that, he had tried as much as possible out of his tight schedule to convey a series of meetings with stakeholders connected with the construction and installation of the center, such as the official of the General Electric Company, an American multinational conglomerate corporation which specializes in the supply of electrical equipment for the Cardiac and Renal Center, adding that the official of the company attested that equipment supply were brand new and were supplied in good condition at the center. The concessionaire who took over the operation and management of the center also informed him of the long snag lease presented before Duo Project Limited, which was left untouched, thereby creating impediment for the progress of the center, as well as official of Lagos State University Hospital last week, who also spoke about the poor performance and negligence of the contractor at the center. He informed that after due consultation with the various stakeholders involved, he discovered that the inadequacy of power supply at the center was as a result of fundamental error occasioned by the contractor, Duo Project Limited, in the calculation of the required power voltage needed at the center during power distribution. Lastly, the Commissioner informed the meeting that Duo Project Limited is not a medical contractor, but a mere civil engineering company and does not have the expertise in the construction of medical facilities, especially for a state like Lagos, which has been a role model among other states in the country. 8.2. Engineer Mrs. Adeyoye Aramide, Special Advisor on Works and Infrastructure, corroborated the submission of Professor Akin Abayomi and also informed the meeting that the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure is currently awaiting the Governor's directives to overhaul the entire center in order to fashion out the appropriate design suitable for the center to enable it to commence operation. It suggested to the meeting that the retention fee of the 5% should be reviewed by the House, adding that the poor performance on the part of the contractor is attributed to the saving retention fee left with the State Treasury Office. More so, he advised that the state should engage the service of reputable consultants that could always assist in the provision of competent medical contractor for the construction of medical facilities for the state. 8.3. Interviewing the Accountant General Permanent Secretary, State Treasury Office submitted that the Treasury Office make funds available to contractor at every stage of development based on the approval by the governor authorizing the office. However, he informed that every payment to Deal Project Limited in the course of construction and installation of equipment at the center were made subject to the approval by His Excellency and not at the volition of the State Treasury Office. 8.4. Dr. Duwole A.O., Director of Project, Ministry of Health, informed the meeting that the contractor Deal Project Limited supplied and installed brand new equipment which were purchased directly from the manufacturer with warranty, which later expired after a specified period. The equipment were, however, powered on as at the time of installation, but were not tested on patients to actually ascertain the workability of the equipment. However, errors were eventually detected on some of the equipment when used on patients at the center. The project director also informed that the Ministry of Health in company of Ministry of Work and Infrastructure carried out thorough assessment of the equipment and the structural integrity of the center with a view to providing lasting solutions to the lingering problem of the center. Shortly after the evaluation, the attached snags were identified and the contractor Deal Project was called upon but failed to correct the snags list as requested. See Annex 4 to 12. Observation. Based on the submission and on-spot assessment of the committee, the following are the findings of the committee. 1, that the Lagos State multi-billion ultramodern cardiac and renal center was built to provide specialist care to many Nigerians and also help to stem the rising medical tourism associated with cardiac and renal treatment, was seen locked up since the past 3 years due to the negligence on the part of Deal Project Limited, who failed to restore back the identified snag list at the center. While the equipment installed was seen becoming moribund, structural defect was also noticed by the committee, and we have also taken over the surroundings of the center. The committee was briefed by the official of the Ministry of Health that the contractor Deal Project only addressed few snags in the list, leaving larger segments untouched when called upon to address issue of snag list, which further attributed to the poor performance of the center. 3, the contractor frankly spoke out at the meeting that the company will not entertain any further responsibility in addressing any snag list at the center. Henceforth, considering the huge amount spent in the past for rectification of snags. And 4, the 5% retention fee by contractor is considerably too low and negligible and attributed to poor performance by some contractors. Most contractors take advantage of the insignificant retention fee and deviate from complying with the job certification and contract agreement with the state. 10, recommendation. Based on the aforementioned findings, the committee wishes to recommend that 1, the present Lagos State government, Mr. Babayide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, should look for every possibility to salvage the ultramodern cardiac and renal center from further decay by engaging partnership with Otto von Guericke University Teaching Hospital, Germany, who has requisite knowledge in the treatment of cardiac and renal ailments, to take over the center for effective administration towards sustainable healthcare service delivery. 2, the Lagos State government should release the company Deal Project Limited from being awarded contract in Lagos State in view of the negligence and high level of inefficiency it demonstrated in the course of executing the multi-billion naira project awarded by the state, while the retention fee due to the company on the project be held by the State Treasury Office. 3, the Lagos State government do carry out upward review of the 5% retention fee of the contractor handling projects in Lagos State with a view to making them more committed to the task before them. 4, the Lagos State government do engage the service of medical contractor for the construction of medical facilities in the state for quality assurance and quality control, such that services rendered by contractor meet the expectation of the people and the government, and the Lagos State government official involved in carrying out supervisory role at every stage of development during the construction and installation of equipment at the centers were seen to be committed to the task ahead of them, and therefore be exonerated in view of the lapses recorded at the center. Appreciation. Number 11, appreciation. The committee expresses its gratitude to the Right Honorable Speaker and members for the opportunity given to carry out this assignment. Appreciation also goes to the clerk of the House and the secretariat who contributed to the successful completion of of the report. Honorable Shokunle. Chairman, thank you.
Honorable Victor Akande.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby move that the report should be adopted for debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hereby second the motion.
All in favor say aye. Those against no. The ayes have it. Who has the light?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I give kudos to the committee, but, Mr. Speaker, the retention, that's what I want to talk about. Retention, it was mentioned that it was so low to the defect on the project. I think the recommendation is too lenient, because if the retention is so low to the defect that was discovered, I think the contractor has to cough out adequately to compensate for what the defect is. Then not only that, Mr. Chairman, the other aspect that I observe is on the relation to the contractor that was given the job to. If these are medical equipments, it could not be given to any other person. Why the ministry did not discover this when tender was going on? I think the ministry also should be rebooked on this, because if they know that the job is an expertise kind of a job, they should not give it to somebody who is just a contractor, general contractor. That's my observation, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Shilong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank the committee for job well done. However, I want to disagree with their recommendation, especially the recommendation 10.5, that Lagos State government officials involved in carrying out supervisory roles at every stage of development during the construction and installation of equipment at the center were seen to be committed to the task ahead of them and therefore be exonerated in view of the lapses. Lapses recorded at the center, I don't agree with this. If they had been so diligent in their duty, we would not be having snag list. If they had done their job as required, they wouldn't have signed off and the contractor got paid. So they cannot be exonerated. I think that they should serve the necessary punishment. I remember that during budget parley with, during the budget parley that you approved, I guess, the last budget or the ongoing budget, when we were speaking with officials of government in the executive arm, what they said was, when we were considering project, writing commission by so and so, those who supervised should also be written alongside, so that if they do good job, people will know in future. If you supervise a very bad job, people should know. So me, I'm also supportive of their recommendation, because if they had done the needful, I'm not sure. If they hadn't signed off on the project that this stage is completed and done satisfactorily, the government wouldn't have run into this problem. Also, I want to agree with the review of the retention fee without being prescriptive, so to speak. I guess if they should get this to 10%, or they come up with their recommendation and then of jacking up this percentage for effect in case there are issues that could be resolved with this retention fee, because the idea of retention is to see that at least for the next 6 months, the job is well done, they use it. And if they were not well done, they could use the 10 or 5% to correcting all of these snags that they have found out in these. Aside from these, I think the recommendation is okay, and I agree with them that they shouldn't let these great projects to be abandoned. It should be, whatever that could be done should be done to salvaging this situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Satonji.
The right honorable speaker, thank you, sir. What happened on this project is a reflection of how we run things in this country. Ordinarily, measures do projects were not competent to handle this project. And because God knows where the contractor, the kind of influence he used, he had many projects in Lagos State, and majority of those projects did not live up to expectation. In this particular instance, they performed woefully, and the officer representing them at that meeting had the effrontery to say that they are not ready to go back to site. They did not do a good job. And this project is billions of naira. It's very unfortunate. So I want to suggest that it's not enough to say that we don't give them job again. That company should be blacklisted because they have been involved in many projects in Lagos State that failed. On the issue of retention, I'm surprised that in paragraph 8.2, the Special Advisor was requesting the House to review the 5%. It's the prerogative of the ministry. On road construction projects, the retention is always 10%. And it is the ministry that reduced this one to 5%. But I want to say, sir, as a professional, that if that 5%, if you make it 10%, it's not enough to have a good job if the contractor is not a competent one. If you make it 20% retention, they will still do a bad job. We need to ensure that contractors that get jobs are competent to handle those things. That's my own side. Lastly, sir, I also want to harp on the recommendation 5, which the DS has mentioned, that there were challenges, there were lapses in the supervisions too. So I think that area needs to be addressed. And lastly, but not the least, I want to commend the committee for a job that well done. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Nureni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'm going to commend the committee for a good job well done, sir. But I'm going to go to this, their recommendation number 2. Like they said, they should just delist the company from Lagos State contractor. I believe that punishment is not enough, sir. We should compel the governor or call on the governor to please let, the company, they have their registration at the CAC, they are a registered company under Nigeria. We should be able to call them, the governor should call them to order, get their money. So, because if we just delist them, they can register with another name, Mr. Chairman. So with this, I think we should do something about that recommendation, sir. Number 2. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The issue that is just being presented by the chairman of the committee is an issue that really affects every Lagosian about their well-being. This ultra-modern cardiac and renal center that supposed to have been completed and put into use, that is still being at the stage of moribund, is highly uncalled for. And a lot of people are dying because this center could not be put into use. And this project has been dragging for years. I believe, first of all, the supervising ministry should be called to book for now approving the stages of this money, releasing it to the contractor without certifying the level of work being done at this center. Is very pathetic. And more importantly, everybody knows what the Nigerian currency is to the dollars. To put similar project in place now, it shows we are going to spend ×5 of what has been budgeted for before now. Where is the money with the surrounding pandemic that the whole world is now facing? I want to call that the ministry, especially the officers in charge of supervising this project, should be called to book. And if possible, whatever we can recover, because the contractor have said that after this meeting, he may not, oblige the call of the committee. It's an absurd. When a project has not yet been delivered, and you are not telling the committee that after this meeting, you may not even be responding to their call, it shows the ministry is not even able to handle the contractor. So I believe we should look more than this. And I have to thank the committee for the good job well done to allow us to have seen and know what is happening at the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much.
Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, sir. I'm just going to go to 3 areas. The first, I want to support what Honorable Nureni said. There should be a more punitive measure than what we are tending that they should just be expunged or delisted from the company. There must be more punitive measure. You cannot be handling a multi-billion naira project and you kind of put up this kind of attitude. It is uncalled for. Number 2, I want to go to paragraph 8.4, the paragraph of the observation. This is in tandem with the recommendation 5 that says that we must put supervisory role or control in place, because if there is a control or supervisory role which is more effective, then they will have known that some of these equipment are not in good shape before the handing over. Again, the retention, I think the retention should be 10%. Let's just say it categorically rather than saying that 5%. We can go in, if we are dealing with multi-billion naira, what we can still jack it up to 15%. Thank you. That's my contribution, sir.
Honorable Gundi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I want to adopt all what my colleagues have said, but I want to add in the area of recommendation number 5. There are some specialized projects that the competence for supervision might not be there within the ministry. There might be need for engagement of consultants to supervise some projects. And so is this type of project we are talking about. Most of them might be seeing those equipment for the first time. For them to sign in or refuse to sign, they may not really have what it takes. When doing this type of project, I want to add to the recommendation, the engagement of consultants should be involved so that they can really advise the ministry right from the beginning and they can come out with something good. Thank you.
Honorable Esobi.
Mr. Speaker, still on recommendation number 5, I plead to differ a bit from what Honorable Ogundimu said. What is worth doing at all is worth doing well. The Ministry of Health is the supervisory ministry for the project. It's a specialized project. The ministry where the competence is not present in the ministry should necessarily know that they need to look elsewhere, they need not be told or taught to get a consultant to do the job. What has happened here is contributory negligence on the part of the ministry aiding the contractor because they're supposed to deliver the project well done to the people. Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at this issue, and that's why I'm commending the committee for the first recommendation. We should not be looking at the project alone in the area of the huge sum committed to it, but the importance of that project, which, if it had been delivered in a proper way, would have encouraged the state government to do other specialized projects that would change the tide of medical tourism outside this state, outside Nigeria. I'm therefore saying that the first recommendation is all-encompassing, charging the governor to do everything possible to salvage the ultramodern cardiac renal center. Whether they did it well, what Lagosians want to see is that this project, the amount ventured into it, is not a waste, and the purpose for for initiating the project is achieved in the interest of the people. The governor will now, doing this, go into some other areas. This company has not done a good job, and I'm sure the state cannot be encouraged to enlist that contractor for another job, and that is why I appreciate the recommendations that have been given. Mr. Speaker, these are well-thought recommendations, except for recommendation number 5, which is trying to exonerate those that should be held seriously culpable for misrepresenting the job that has been done to the government to warrant payment of the outstanding. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While commending the efforts of the committee in doing a good job, I would like to speak to the last leg of the recommendation 1 that recommended the state government to engage in partnership with the Otto von Guericke University Teaching Hospital, Germany, who supposedly has requisite knowledge in this field, as mentioned in the findings with Dr. Billy Olamilekan's submission. However, sir, my own issue with that would be that, was there any other option available in terms of those who possibly have the requisite knowledge? I'm sure it's not limited to just Germany alone. That, yes, it is at no cost, but we should not just limit it to just the submission of Dr. Billy Olamilekan. Was it based on that premise that it was added to the recommendation as recommendation number 1, even though I would like to comment every other one? The last one I would also like to speak on would be in tandem with what Honorable Akonda said about making sure that the retention fee is clearly stated, and with the view of making it more, stringent in terms of the percentage, 10% to 15%, and I would even say 20% retention, to enable them have a sense of belonging and direction whenever the contractors want to engage in such activities. Finally, Mr. Speaker, having looked critically at all the recommendations so far, I would also suggest that the services of Dole Project Limited should not only be delisted within the Lagos State government, but also we should look at it with a view of having them do a refund, if possible, or some sort of more stringent, breakdown that would serve as a deterrent for other companies, because I'm very sure that it's not only Dole Project that has such issues. There are other companies who will definitely have such issues. So with the view of making it a deterrent, more stringent punishment should be awarded. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for your contributions. Based on this recommendation, I think I want to conclude by saying the committee has not really helped us out. The only reason we have allotted the second for this assignment was to identify those officials who were responsible for the installation and the sign-off of these projects. But what we have here on recommendation 5 is total exoneration of these officials. I don't think that is right. I don't think I want to go with the same line with the Deputy Speaker. When someone supervises a project, by receiving it and signing it all, shows that you have concluded that they brought or they supply a good equipment. So right from the beginning, from the installation period up to this time, even from your report, the first report, the second report, there have been cases of snag. So how can we now conclude that the supplier supplied a brand new, according to your reports here? So if the equipment were to be brand new, if there is going to be any problem, I think maybe once. But going by your report, from the first report we treated up to this report, the cases of snags have been coming up. So we can't conclude by saying they have supplied new equipment. And there's no way we will have to exonerate the officials responsible for these projects. There's no way we can penalize those. According to the the documents and those that receive it have exonerated the company. Secondly, the company cannot do it in isolation without collaboration of the officials. So why are you penalizing the supplier and exonerating the officials? I don't think that is good enough. I don't think I want to buy the second recommendation. If you are exonerating the official, then you should exonerate the supplier. I'm very sure he did not install it on his own without their consent. And there's no way they will have paid the balance without the paperwork. So, which means the officials have signed off on the project and they have given their go-ahead to the ministry that is responsible for the payment to have paid him up to this level, left with only 5% of the contract sum. So if you are now saying the Lagos State official involved in carrying out the supervisory role at every stages of development during the construction and installation of equipment at the center were seen to be committed to the task ahead of them and therefore be exonerated in view of the lapses. So I don't know what you inform this recommendation, but the point is that we have not, if we go by this recommendation, then we have not done justice to what informed the exercise.
Can I respond to that?
We have not done justice to what informed this exercise because, well, according to you, multi-billion naira projects, and for almost 3-4 years now, in fact, more than 5 years, it was done during Fashola, if I'm right.
Yeah.
We've had Ambode, and we're in the first year of another administration, over 5 years. And it has not been put to use just because the equipment supply have not been in good form from the beginning up to this moment. We have to do something about it. Critical point was mentioned by one of our colleagues. This will have saved us from these, what do you call it? How did you put it? Yeah, medical tourism. See, almost every day, you see how people going to India or Dubai, on these organ problems. We have opportunity to adjust, but yet we mess it up. And that is why we have to get to the roots, what really happened. Because what we have here is just cosmetic. It's
Can
just
I-
cosmetic because those officials, they're supposed to tell us why they received the equipment from the contractors. So you cannot delete the contractor if you have signed him off that the items or the equipment have been received in good condition. And according to you in this report, you said the official, from your findings, that the official said it was the contractor supply brand new equipment, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if they have said that, so why do you want to go to the conclusion and say they should delete the contractor? When the official that claimed that they brought in brand new equipment are being exonerated, then the man that brought in brand new equipment is to be convicted. I don't think that is tidy enough. You should do something. I don't know what if you have anything to say on this.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, sir. On the issue of equipment, sir, we have medical equipment. It is possible you power it on and the machine will be on. After on, one will sign it that they've supplied, the machine is working.
Why will you do that?
Because you can only test those machines with human. So while constructing, installing the equipment, there's no way one will test the machine with human.
That is not making sense.
And
It's not making sense.
I shouldn't say anything.
You procure an equipment for a purpose. So, and if you are going to confirm if it is in good condition or otherwise, then you will use it for that purpose to confirm, not by putting it on and off. What does that mean? Is it a fan? So I think we just, I'm not in support of item number 2 and number 5. I'm not in support of item number 2 and number 5. Recommendation 2 and 5, I'm not in support. So see that you drop it. And I also want to agree with those. I think our major problem is all about the officials and supervision. You will see a road that has just been constructed probably in the last 3 years. Before you know it, it has started giving way, portals, everything. At least a good road should serve minimum of 10 years. We are not even talking about major roads that sees, high flow of traffic. We are still inner road, the street, you see them less than 3 years, and yet the government will have to go back to this road again. We have the new one begging for attention. So we should concentrate our energy on those who are supervising, and I think we made that effort in the amendment of the procurement law we made last time. Now, every officer that supervises a project should be held responsible. But I think the bill has not been assented to. Yeah, I think it has not been. So we have to look at this area. There's no reason why we do a project and it's less than 2 years, 3 years, that will be the end of the project. That is total wastage of public funds. And that is why we have to address it. So if you are, because this is the second time we'll be attending to this report. So maybe just drop 2 and 5 and we move ahead. Yes, sir, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to beg of you, sir, to possibly have to go a bit further. I agree with you, sir. If we cannot take 5, we cannot take 2, because 5 and 2 go together. So and that is the nucleus of the problem. So if the nucleus of the problem have not been solved, I don't see how we can take the report. Maybe we should get the report back, and more searchlight is thrown into that area to make sure that we use this as a test case for all the ministry that they have to exercise their supervisory powers on projects under their purview. So I just want to say that we should not delete 2 and 5 and take others. If we must delete 2 and 5, then the nucleus of the report is already defeated. Maybe we should allow it another life. Maybe they go back and bring it further, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Is that a consensus? Yeah. Well, this report is hereby stepped down. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the purpose for which the House dissolved to Committee of the Whole has been accomplished. I wish to move that the House reverts to plenary. I so move.
Honorable Temitope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, at the Committee of the Whole, the House took the presentation of the report of the Committee on Health Services presented by Honorable Shokunle O.H., the chairman. The members asked questions and made observations in respect of the recommendations of the committee. And at the end of the question and answer session, the report was found to have some lapses in the area of the recommendations. And the House resolved that the report be set down for another day. Mr. Speaker, I wish to say that this is what transpired at the Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Honorable Makinde.
I like to affirm that is the true recap of what transpired at the Committee of the Whole.
Honorable Kasum.
I rise to second the affirmation.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Distinguished colleagues, we have come to the end of this session, and I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that the House adjourns to Tuesday, the 11th day of August of the instant. I so move.
Who is sitting in the middle at the back? The man that has like. Okay, can you do yourself? Okay.
I rise to second the motion as moved.
Those in favor say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned to Tuesday, 11 August 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. I rise.